Welcome back to another episode of Spreadsheet Radio. This is Nick Kleifkes and Stephen Doman. It's a Monday night here in Arlington, Virginia. A little earlier in the week to be getting our picks in, but due to conflicting schedules, we just had to do it tonight. But the podcast lives on, and we got another week of football for you. Steve, how was the great state of Nebraska?
To be honest, I think it was one of the last good weekends we'll ever get, I guess, in Nebraska for the rest of the season. All I have to say is hashtag Nebraska nice. They're known for being the nicest fans in the country. And, I mean, I have never met a more, welcoming, great game, whatever, even though it was a terrible loss by MSU. Their defense couldn't stop anyone. The fans were really hospitable. I just want to say it was a good time, even though it was a gut-wrenching loss, and we'll get into that more. But I'm probably never going to go back to Nebraska, but it was a good weekend.
So it was fun while it lasted. So last week was a tough week for us. I went 3-3, just barely hung in there at 500. Steve was 2-4 this week. Had a couple tough losses, including Michigan State. I got backdoored in the Houston game. Duke was one of the worst picks ever. They got lit up by North Carolina. We'll get to that more later. We will get to that later. I did have a great cover by Temple with an interception return for a touchdown with 30 seconds left in a blowout win.
Some might call it luck.
Yeah. Some might call it luck. Others can call it a great pick.
That's what you need.
Choose who you will be. So we'll get right into the college football playoff. It's only Monday. The rankings haven't been released yet, but I think we both agree on our top four. Steve, take it off.
Yeah, it was a big week. You had LSU losing, you had TCU losing, you had Michigan State losing. So, I mean, obviously that pretty much takes away their chances unless something miraculous happens. I think that, we both have Clemson, Ohio State, Bama, and Oklahoma State. You could switch up, the top four, but I think those have to be the top four. Baylor hasn't played anyone. They have a backup quarterback. They barely snuck by Kansas State last week. You could put Notre Dame in there, but they also have a loss, so I don't see how you put them over Oklahoma State. I think that's the four, but, I mean, it's going to get pretty interesting as these last couple weeks roll in, the Big 12 especially. So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my big thing, I think we agree on this. You got to keep the three winners in there still. But Oklahoma State's got to be in there now. I mean, they've got their marquee win over TCU, and they did it in outstanding fashion. So I think you got to put OK State in there just ahead of Baylor, just because they've got the big win that Baylor's lacks. So I think teams like Notre Dame and Stanford are on the outside looking in right now because they've got those losses. I think they're one-loss teams that could sneak in, but with these Big 12 teams still waiting to beat up on each other later in the season, you got to keep Oklahoma State in there now and keep these one-loss teams out of there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Baylor's got to play Oklahoma State. They're going to play TCU last game of the season.
Oklahoma,
so I mean,
they still got Oklahoma.
They still have Oklahoma. So I mean, things are going to get shaken up in the Big 12. I really only see one team coming out of there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We will not have more than one team from the Big 12.
No. So, especially without a conference championship, no way.
Right. All right. So we're going to get right into the picks here. I think I'm going to stick with the special 6, 4-2, 4 college, 2 NFL. Steve, what are you doing?
I'm going to do 3-3.
All right, 3-3 for Steve. So I'll go ahead and kick us off with my first college pick. I'm going with North Carolina minus 12.5 against Miami at home. If you can't beat them, join them. I watched the first half of this game, but that's about all you needed to watch. Quarterback Marquise Williams tore up a top 15 defense in Duke for 404 yards passing in the first half. He had a school record 494 yards on the day. He had 5 total touchdowns, 4 through the air and another on the ground. This UNC team has not lost since week 1 against my South Carolina Gamecocks. They've looked terrific ever since. This weekend they can clinch a spot in the ACC title game with a win over Miami in Chapel Hill, and I think they get it done, and I think they get it done big and cover the 12.5.
What time was that game last week? That was
It was a noon game.
Noon game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like 11 a.m.
I bet on Duke. It was one of my losses last week, and I had to turn the game off because it was tough to watch.
I was still getting going at that point in Nebraska. They were on Central Time, so I wasn't able to catch that. But I, checked my phone, and they were getting their ass handed to them. And I mean, I don't really know what to think about this game. I didn't really take much look at it. I think Miami has looked terrible, although they've looked decent.
Lost their coach already this season. They fired Al Golden.
Yeah, I mean, in North Carolina, they look good. They look bad. I don't know. I guess you'd roll with the home team on this one, but we will see. I'm going to go with Stanford -9 at home to Oregon. I know both these teams looked pretty good last week, but I'm just going to roll with the Stanford on this one. They're undefeated at home. They're 7-2 against the spread this season. Oregon, even though they put up a lot of points, they're giving up 38 points per game, which is the highest in the conference. Stanford also leads the FBS in time of possession, holding onto the ball, an average of 35 minutes per game. So I think that's going to be a big key here. Also, running back Christian McCaffrey is averaging 242 all-purpose yards a game, which is 25 yards ahead of the next guy. And he's on pace right now to break the NCAA record of 3,250 yards set by yours truly, Barry Sanders, in 1988. Coincidentally, Barry Sanders' son is, shares the backfield with McCaffrey, so he could be seeing history be taken away from his father. But nonetheless, I think Stanford, they make a push for the top four this week, beating an Oregon team, which is very well known in the nation, and I think they beat them by double digits at home.
Yeah, I love Christian McCaffrey. He's really fun to watch. I think Barry Sanders Jr. will be a good sport when when Dad's record gets broken. But Stanford, I love the trees. The Cardinal have been dominating outside of that one loss. I think who did they lose to? Washington State, was it?
No, they lost to Northwestern. First game of the year.
All right, yeah, since that first game of the year.
It was a fluke. It was an outlier.
All right, so that's a fluke loss. So, yeah, I love that pick. I like the Cardinals. I was looking at it as well. So, go Trees. Speaking of teams that have had just one fluke loss, I got Oklahoma catching 3 points on the road against the Baylor Bears. If you look at Oklahoma's schedule, with the exception of that one fluke loss to Texas, they have dominated every other team they've played this year, except for Tennessee. It was an overtime win against Tennessee in Knoxville, an SEC opponent. So Oklahoma's been strong this year. I think they're one of the most underrated teams in the country. Baker Mayfield, he's thrown for over 1,700 yards this year with 15 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions. So I just like Oklahoma over Baylor this week. Baylor has really not been tested this year. They just lost their starting quarterback a couple of weeks ago. So I just like the Sooners to roll here.
That's a tough one. Obviously Baylor puts up a lot of points. I think you got to give the edge to Oklahoma when it comes to their defense. But this is a tough. I think it should be a good game. It's only a 3-point spread, so really I think it's a coin toss. I don't know what the over under is, but that could be a good play. But
nice little parlay with the over.
I don't know, man.
Oklahoma money line and parlay.
I don't know. It's a tough one. We'll see. I wouldn't touch that game, but Nick's been right more than I have, so and that's I don't like saying that, but I'm gonna go.
You can't argue with wins and losses.
I'm never gonna say that again. All right, so my next pick is TCU at home to Kansas -45, and that is a huge spread, but. When it all comes down to it, obviously TCU is going to win the game. They lost a bad loss last week against Oklahoma State. They haven't lost 2 straight since the 2013 season. Kansas is 0-9. I think they're one of the worst teams in the division. Division I football. TCU is scoring 48 points per game. It's the highest in the Big 12. Kansas is 1-8 against the spread this season. They're 1-4 against the spread when they're given more than 28 points in a game. So I think 2 of their starting quarterbacks are injured. I don't think Kansas. I think they score under 10 points. I think TCU comes out and they take out their frustration on Kansas this week, and I think they roll the Jayhawks, and I think they beat them something like 52-3.
Yeah, you're nuts. 45 points is so many points. I mean, you're going to be sweating the whole game. That's
you remember when Baylor covered 50-some points in the spread in the first half earlier this year?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I bet on Kansas in that game. Yeah, well, I was only getting just shy of 6 touchdowns. This is a 6.5 touchdown spread. Never would I ever touch this unless I'm taking these points, being all cozy all game. Not gonna work. Not even put it on until the fourth quarter.
What does Kansas have to play for?
Pride. I don't know. Getting ready for basketball season.
But they're not playing at home. I mean, I think they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna get rolled.
Yeah, they might. But Baylor doesn't have its original quarterback. Don't remember his name right now, but he's out for the season. So I don't know. I'm probably gonna take the points in this one, but good luck. All right, so
a lot of disagreement going on.
All right, so I got Arkansas. My next pick, Arkansas +8 in Death Valley against the LSU Tigers. Arkansas, 2 of the last 3 weeks, they've had big overtime wins over Auburn and Ole Miss with a little ass whooping of UT Martin sandwiched in there. I think they won like 58-3. This team is one of those.
I bet you UT Martin would beat Kansas.
That's very possible. It's very possible. Maybe they'll play each other one day. So Arkansas in their last 3 games they've been on a heater. So they've been scoring 56.7 points per game in that span. Brandon Allen's thrown 11 touchdowns with just 1 interception. So Arkansas they're getting 8 points in Death Valley. LSU looked weak last week against the Crimson Tide. Leonard Fournette looked mortal for the first time this season. And honestly, I just think there's going to be a hangover from that Alabama game. And Arkansas, I mean, they're the kings of overtime. So even if they take the game to overtime and LSU pulls it off, I'm still taking these 8 points with these feisty Arkansas Razorbacks.
Yeah, we're disagreeing a lot, I think, this week, more than any other week we've done this, because there's no way I would take Arkansas. LSU, I mean, they're just a better team. They're still ranked, I mean, I guess projected to be ranked 9th in the nation. They obviously got torched last week by Alabama, but that's Alabama. I just would not bet on Arkansas, even though I took Ole Miss last week. I just don't trust them. They lost to Toledo. LSU would never lose to Toledo.
You can't just say that's Alabama. They play these guys every year, and I mean, Alabama, their players put their pants on the same way as LSU does, one leg at a time. So I don't agree with just saying it's just Alabama, because this was the game they needed to win, and they didn't even show up.
It's just what Alabama does.
They got ran up and down the field. I mean,
that was early in the season.
Fournette had 9 yards on his first 9 carries. Bama shut him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just like Arkansas this week. What you got next?
Another reason why I don't like Arkansas is because they are strictly a run team. They shut down Fournette last week. They are a run team. He had what? He ended up with, I think, like 20 carries for maybe 30 yards and like a goal line touchdown. And Arkansas only runs the ball. And they're in Death Valley. So I think LSU is going to cover that. What is it, 8 points?
We got to talk after podcast because we need to bet each other on this game.
I'm in.
I love it.
So my next pick, and I don't have much to go off of this one, but I'm just going to take the Owls -3.5 at South Florida. I mean, I saw them last week. It was close, but I mean, the defense is, looking good, and they're undefeated on the road this year. I just think the Owls keep rolling, even though they have 1 loss. They're just playing for pride, and they look good against Notre Dame. They kept that one close, so I don't think South Florida is very good, so I'm just going to roll with the Owls.
Yeah, I took the Owls last week. They're fun to root for. I've watched a couple of their games this year. I don't think I caught any of the Notre Dame game, even though they had game day in there. Yeah, the Temple's a good team. That's the team that I won on the interception touchdown, so that was awesome. Fun team to watch, fun team to root for, fun team to bet on. I like it. All right, so my next pick coming up is Florida State minus 9.5 at home against NC State. A team formerly ranked in the top 5 in the nation has had 2 tough road losses in the past 3 weeks against Georgia Tech and Clemson. Now they're back at home. They're back in Tallahassee. They're only favored by less than 10 against a weak, inferior NC State team. I watched the game last week. It was one of my picks last. They were one of my picks last week, but they were playing Boston College with I think their 5th quarterback this year. Unbelievable. I mean,
did you win that one?
Yeah, I parlayed it with the under 37.
Wow.
Yeah, and the total was 32. So that was a nice one. NC State, Boston College looks terrible. Bet against them the rest of the year. NC State, however, did not look that great. I mean, they only scored 24. And it's pretty.
Where's the game this week?
It's in Tallahassee. Yeah.
I like Florida State. I mean, they didn't look that bad against Clemson. They really didn't.
I'm feeling like a 38-14 finish. So Florida State should win it pretty comfortably. All right, so that wraps up the college picks. Was there one game we wanted to talk about? I mean, obviously it's not that important since we don't remember what it is.
No, I mean, I think they're...
I think it was Oklahoma-Baylor.
Well, yeah, Oklahoma-Baylor and Mississippi State plays Alabama. So
That's a big one. Another underrated game this week is Memphis and Houston. That could actually be a pretty good game.
I like Houston in that one.
Yeah, I do too. It's a 6-point spread in Houston. Houston actually plays way better on the road. But they're a fun team to watch. Good game for anybody to check out would be Houston, led by Greg Ward Jr. Talked about him several times. He's a beast. All right. So let's get things started with the NFL.
All right. Well, I first want to say, any of you guys who listened last week, if you took the Colts because I said so, you're welcome. That was a good one. Probably one of my best picks of the year so far, and they're just going to keep coming. So don't you worry. I'm going to go with the Panthers minus 4.5 at the Titans at Tennessee. Obviously, if you watched last week, the Titans play the Saints. That was they played pretty well. I just don't think the Titans are on Carolina's level. Carolina beat the Green Bay Packers, who have not looked that good in 2 straight weeks. And yours truly, Detroit Lions, play them this week in Lambeau. Who knows? They could be getting a 3rd loss. I don't know. The spread's 13.5. I'd probably still go Packers. But I like Carolina in this one. They're playing at Tennessee. That's why it's 4.5. They're undefeated. I just don't think that Tennessee is fit. They played the Saints, and they look great, but they're also playing a terrible Saints defense, and Carolina shut down the Packers until late in that game. I just like Carolina to beat them by a touchdown in this one, and I think they're going to get it done in Tennessee.
Yeah, no Music City Miracle this week. Carolina has been one of the most dominant teams in the NFL. You can't bet against them right now, especially – or no – yeah, you can't bet against them. I mean, minus 4. Tennessee, I was one of my picks last week was the Saints. Lost that in devastating fashion. Mariota looked awesome.
They were up by 21 points at one point during the game.
Yeah. I don't know. That was a bad loss. But, I'd definitely keep rolling with Carolina until they have a game where they actually look like the Carolina that we all know. Yeah. I think they're coming back at some point. I think they're a pretender. But
I think so too. But with that running scheme that they got going, I don't think Tennessee's got a good enough front seven to stop them. I just think they're going to keep pounding the ball, and I don't think Tennessee stands a chance.
Yep. All right, go Panthers there. I like that game. All right, I'm going my first pick, Cardinals on the road in Seattle, +3. First of all, this is no longer Seattle's division. This division belongs to the Arizona Cardinals. The Cards defense is one of the strongest Ds in the league. Russell Wilson has looked terrible this year. Just not himself. I think he's having girl problems. I'm not really sure. But all I know is I love the Cardinals. They've been one of the just high-powered offenses against this struggling Seattle defense, and I think the Cards shut up the 12th man this week.
This is a tough one. They're both coming off bye weeks. Marshawn's had a lingering back issue, so I don't know. I think he's pretty squared away, but Seattle just has not looked the same. Cam Chancellor held out for the first couple of games, and they didn't look very good. The Lions almost beat him or should have beaten them. And then he came back, and they won 2 straight against terrible teams, and then they just started to go back downhill. So I like the Cardinals also in this one, and so I think we're going to agree on this. But, yeah, I think the way Carson Palmer's playing is he's outplaying Russell Wilson this season for sure. And he's kind of a surprise this season how well he's playing. He's probably top 3 in there with Tom Brady. And
Cam Newton? Oh, yeah.
Top 3 with those guys.
Him and Brady.
But yeah, I like the Cardinals. I think Russell Wilson, you said it. I mean, Golden Tate was messing around with his fiance or girlfriend or something. He had him gone. He could be
Russell Wilson's gone celibate with the girl he's dating. I can't keep track of it, but that's what he's doing.
Really? He might want to stop doing that.
Yeah, he should.
All right, so I'm going to go on to my next pick, and I'm going to take the Steelers minus 4.5 at home to the Brownies.
I think he's dating later.
Check it out. I watched that game, and they look great. I mean, with Ben being in there, if you're an Antonio Brown fantasy owner, he had 284 yards receiving that game. But, I mean, he's obviously hurt, I think, for another couple weeks. He got injured towards the tail end of that game. D'Angelo Williams looked phenomenal. He looked phenomenal. I think he put up 36 points for me in fantasy. And I just think the Steelers are a better team. Landry Jones, if you watched him during that game against the Arizona Cardinals, they won that game. I think they were at home, but they beat the Cardinals, and Landry Jones is no scrub. So I think the Steelers beat the Browns. Browns have not looked very good the last couple of weeks, and I think the Steelers keep rolling and beat them at home.
Yeah, if I could denounce my Skins fanship, I can't. They're with me forever. But if I could, I might jump on. I might jump on the Steelers bandwagon. They're like they got the terrible towel, and they're just a fun team to root for.
Martavius Bryant is slippery. I don't know if you saw that play.
Yeah,
they just threw like an out pass to him.
Yeah, he's having a much better success in the NFL than he did in college against the Gamecocks, where he never won. But I like the Steelers. I just always like rooting for them, no matter who's playing QB, whether it's Mike Vick, Big Ben, Landry Jones. I think has looked good in limited action. So he's got a good connection with Big AB. Antonio Brown, you just mentioned the 17 catches for 284 yards last week. He's excellent. I think he's the best receiver in the league. My last NFL pick, my last pick of the podcast is.
I think this is both our last picks because
you like this one.
I thought
you. All right, yeah, you do. All right. So I got Houston.
Oh no.
Not this one. No, yeah. We agree on the other one. Your other pick. So. Schaefer here might not like this pick, but he basically convinced me to do it with some pretty interesting facts that I'm going to share right now. So, not only have the Bengals struggled mightily in primetime in their last 12 appearances, Andy Dalton is actually 0-2 in his career against the Texans starting quarterback Brian Hoyer, including a devastating home loss last year against Hoyer and the Browns. On Thursday. Yeah, it was a Thursday night game. I remember. Yep. I bet on the Bengals. So, yeah, it was bad. So, Houston's catching 12.5 points on the road in Cincinnati on this Monday night game. Cincinnati has looked excellent this year. They're one of the top offenses in the NFL. But, I just think they're due for probably not going to lose, but they're due for a shitty game. I don't know. The Texans, they got it. Yeah, I think it's a sloppy win, like a 10-point win. Maybe Dalton leads them on a drive at the end of the game to win it against. Yeah. Maybe Clowney has a couple sacks, if he's still playing these days. I think he's injured. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, I just love Houston and the points in primetime football on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have watched the Texans this year, but they haven't looked very good, and somehow they are still tied for the division lead with the Indianapolis Colts. It's unbelievable, that division, first of all, because if you're the Colts, you get to play the Titans, the Jags, and the Texans twice every year.
Yeah, I mean,
it's garbage. It's garbage. I mean,
it's all cyclical, though. I mean, a couple years ago, we were saying the Niners division, the NFC West was the worst division in football. I mean, the Seahawks were winning it with a 7-9 record.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, things change pretty quickly in the NFL, so I don't really buy into that. But I'd say this
NFC
year,
East is not. I mean, they're always
NFC East sometimes is strong, and this year they're not, obviously. So, I mean, and all of a sudden, the rest of the Patriots division is all of a sudden
balling
contending.
out.
Yeah, so these things are cyclical. They change pretty quickly.
I'm just saying, for the longest time, the Titans and the Jags
let's just say this year they're the luckiest team in the NFL.
I mean, yeah. But I if I had to pick on this one, I might go with the Bengals just because they're at home. I mean, I was kind of feeling the Browns last week, but I didn't touch that game. And the Bengals, I think, ended up beating them by 20 points. The Bengals are good. I think that you're right. They are due for a hiccup because it's Andy Dalton, and he's got red hair. But, yeah, 13 points or something. Is that what you said? 12 and a half. 2 touchdowns. I think they win the game if I were to bet, but like you said, I think it could be closer than people think. And, did you say Hoyer was 0-2 versus the Bengals, right?
No, he's 2-0.
Oh, he's 2-0. He's 2-0. That's right. Just versus Dalton. So you got that little thing going for you.
Is it possible for me to do Bengals money line, but Houston with the points? So that it's
so that if it's you can do that. I think you can do that.
Andy Dalton is 6-3 versus the Browns in his career, but 2 of his 3 losses have come to Brian Hoyer. So
Brian Hoyer's got his number, and he's also a Stady. He's also a Stady.
If Andy Dalton was Superman, Brian Hoyer would be his kryptonite. That's another reason I like the Houston Texans. And the mighty Brian Hoyer.
So I think this is the one I was talking about that we agree on. It's the Saints -1 to yours, Redskins.
Yeah, this is insane.
And it's in DC, and they're -1, and you got Drew Brees.
We don't get home field advantage.
You got Drew Brees playing, and obviously Kirk Cousins does not measure up to Brees at all. Andrew has been looking great. He's been a slut all year. He's been hooking up with everyone on his offense, And I think that they for sure win the game. If they have an alternate spread, I would take them for a touchdown. But yeah, I think the Saints roll on the Redskins this week.
Yeah, how can I not agree with that? Let me know if I'm taking too long here. All right, so the Redskins this season, I mean,
Trust me, I'll let you know.
Yeah, their season is basically at this point like, let's get as many moral victories as we could get. Like, let's just go out there and fight every week, even though we're not going to win. Let's just try and keep it close. That's what they tried to do last week against the Patriots. It did not happen. They got destroyed. Alfred Morris had 10 yards on the ground. Matt Jones had 11 yards. They couldn't get anything going on the ground. They couldn't get to the quarterback. The receivers couldn't catch balls. Deshaun Jackson didn't do anything.
You were playing the Patriots.
I understand that, but like I said earlier, I mean, the Patriots, I mean, they might not put their pants on the same way. I don't know.
They do not put their pants on the same way. No,
I think someone.
They have completely different pants.
I think the Patriots have servants that are putting their pants on for them 2 legs at a time because they're incredible. I mean, they beat you however they want, whether it's Tom Brady killing you through the air or LeGarrette Blount and Deion Lewis. Well, he's out for the season, but next man up with the Patriots, Brandon Bolden's going to come in there and
fill a stud.
Yeah, he's going to be. I might have to pick him up in fantasy.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So I mean, the Redskins though it's just bad. It's bad. I think that they, this is what I'm rooting. I'm rooting for them to only lose by like 3 points, and it's a 1-point spread. I just can't believe it. Even though the Saints had a tough loss last week to the Titans at home. I mean, I think they bounced back here. Drew Brees probably will throw another 7 touchdowns against the
Yeah,
Skins.
I think it's 7. Yeah.
I mean, we're totally injured. We're banged up all over the secondary. I don't know.
We get it. Yeah. I mean, trust me, I could go all day about the Lions, but I won't. I won't to save you guys.
Throw the house
Okay.
on the Saints.
Yeah, we like the Saints. So I think that's a good one, and it's here. I mean, we'll both be in town, probably watching the game, and I think the Saints get it done. But anywho,
Any other big games this week in the NFL? I don't really know. They're all.
I don't. They're all big games. They'll all be good
Who do the
games.
Lions play? Oh,
we play the Packers at 1
Yeah, man, I kind of like. Was it
in Lambeau.
13 or 12?
At 13.5. I don't know.
Like the Packers to bounce back and
Yeah, that's what I thought last week against the Panthers, and they shut them down. But I mean, they played 2 good defenses.
First consecutive losses in the regular season for Aaron Rodgers since 2010.
Since he started being the starter for Green Bay after he came out of Favre's shadow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's insane.
So I don't think he's ever lost 3 straight, but I mean, I'll still be rooting for the Lions. I don't know. It'll be tough. I don't think we've won in Lambeau in like 50 years or never. So, I mean, I don't care if we won this game. I don't care if we lose another game the rest of the season. I mean, this would be something else. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you should have just taken that $300 you put on the Lions to win the Super Bowl and just put it on Lions money line this week. You definitely would have had better odds to win. The payout wouldn't have been as good, but you would have had better odds to win.
Yeah.
So I got a couple steaks I'm about to grill up here. We got the Monday. Who do you got in this game? Did you touch this? We got the Monday night Chicago Bears.
I like the Chargers.
I actually took Bears money line. So,
but I got a few fantasy players in this. I'll be watching it. I mean, I always hope the Bears lose, so I got the Chargers.
That's true. You do. My dad's a Bears fan, so I got Bears tonight. What's that? Your uncle, Schaefer's uncle, won a Super Bowl with the Bears.
We might have to check that out. I don't know if that's. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Bears, we're out. This is Spreadsheet Radio.
Tune in next week.